Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pursuit 365. I'm your host, Shelly Lynn Hughes, and I am also the founder of Pursuit. I like to interview our members of our community and some incredible people. And today we have the lovely Dr. Divi. Welcome, Dr. Divi.
Thank you for having me, Shelley. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So I'm going to read Dr. Divi's bio. She's pretty amazing. Dr. Divi has been a family doctor for 25 years and is the founder of the Mind Body Spirit Center. She is also an author, international speaker, and teacher. Her training post medical school is wide and diverse. She is trained as a mind body spirit practitioner from the University of Washington. Dr. Divi is also a certified medical intuitive. Through working with and crafting her intuitive skills, she now works with people with a variety of issues, including abundance, life purpose, stress management, depression, chronic pain, parenting difficulties, and more. That's a lot. That's amazing. All of our life issues are connected with each other, which is why Dr. Divi loves what she does. It is never boring. In Dr. Divi's work, she has discovered that shifting mental and emotional states has an impact beyond words in our lives. Totally agree with that. It affects our pocketbook, our daily happiness, our relationships, and our body. Dr. Divi is a world recognized teacher and healer in this field and helps people individually as well as groups. And she's also been featured on some incredible places or in some incredible places, like on the TED stage, in movies, CBC radio, in the Huffington Post, on national TV, and more, like all four of Pursuit 365 books and Fresh magazine. So, welcome, Dr. Divi. I am super excited I've known you for 4 years since you've been a member from the very beginning, but we haven't really had a conversation one-on-one like this. So I'm
Oh,
super excited.
yeah, thank you for having me too. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Oh, anytime, anytime. Okay, so I want to know like the type, I'm more detailed on the type of work you do. So we got the bio, but
Sure.
like let's dive a little bit deeper into that.
So, the type of work I do is I teach people how to work with their mind. I teach classes and I help people understand that people don't come to just have coffee with me. People come to me because something's going wrong, their
Okay.
health, their relationship, their bank account, whatever. And so they come to me because those issues are happening. So they want help. Maybe they can't let go of the story about their ex. Maybe they basically have mental havoc and they come to me to help undo that havoc. And I teach classes and I help people understand their mind is everything. And healing things in their mind can heal things in their lives like that. So yeah.
So if someone says like, well, first of all, what would be kind of a telltale sign that someone is like, oh, I need to see Dr. Divi? Like what could be going on in their daily lives where they know they know that like or they don't know yet, but they should know they need to see you. Like, is there some signs that go on in people's lives?
A lot of people come to see me when they're not happy. They keep repeating the same patterns. They're tired of having the same conversation with the same person over and over again and not feeling happy. Like they just keep repeating something that's not working, right? And they're tired of like just talking about it, but not doing anything about it. Talking about complaining of it and just feeling like it's sucking them dry. So,
So they're
yeah,
feeling like really lost. They don't know what to do. Going to the gym isn't cutting it anymore.
exactly. Exactly.
Going for walks isn't cutting it anymore.
Exactly.
And
Telling
it's
their girlfriends isn't working. They
yeah,
know that there's got to be a better way.
telling your girlfriend's not working. Probably probably maybe a lot of obsessive personalities, like people doing like addictive type personalities maybe or no.
I do get those too. I definitely do get those. But there tends to be a common theme is a sense of almost not necessarily hopelessness, but a want for a way to live life that's different, where there's more joy,
Hmm.
where they're not stuck in this pattern.
Yeah, and those patterns that when you can't get out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and so they're like, okay, so then if someone gets a hold of you, like they say, okay, I'm tired of this. Do you do group classes as well as like single, like what one-on-one? And if they get a hold of you, how does that go about? Do you do like Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always do a complimentary 30-minute session to start, Zoom or in person or on the phone. And that's how I start. I used to do one-to-one work and I still do a tiny bit, but I had a 2-year wait list to see me for one-to-one work. So it was a good problem. Like I had a long wait list and I was not sustainable. So now I'll only work with people one-to-one if they're in one of my groups. So I have different levels of my groups. So I can join a
Okay.
group. And then if they want some one-to-one work, I'll throw it in there too. But yeah,
Okay.
that's
So
how I work.
everyone, okay, so please note, people, down below is going to be ways to connect with Dr. Divi. Also, her website's going to be on there and also your social channels. So 30-minute session. I think that's fantastic and very
Yeah, it's
nice of
really
you to
true.
offer that. That's
Yeah,
really nice. Okay. So let's talk about intuition.
sure.
Intuition, some people think they have it, some people think they don't have it. How do you get it? Like how you work with people with that? How do you
Right.
get intuition and or learn that? Tell us
So
about.
it's definitely a part of my business. Everyone's intuitive. Everyone's intuitive. It's just, are they willing to listen to it or not? So we've got different channels for intuition. Most people think of like clairvoyance, which is to see, which is the most one of the things that everybody wants, but they don't realize they all have access to. The most common intuitive channel is feeling, like that gut feeling, the goosebumps, the inner knowing. That's the most common intuitive channel that we all have. And so most people numb out their intuitive channels like alcohol, gossip, news, they'll numb them out. So we all have them, but things we do can actually dampen our using them. And the biggest thing that dampens our channels is actually fear. So if we're afraid to see, to know, to hear, then we can't access intuition. But everyone is born with intuitive channels. Everyone's got them. It's just, do they want to open them up or not? Most people don't trust their intuition because people assume that intuition is going to give you like gold stars every day. But intuition is more about the journey of life than it is about getting the BMW or the husband. It's that journey of the dating the not so great people. So I can date the great people. So intuition is the journey, but it's not about getting to the end result tomorrow. So everyone's got it. They just don't always trust it.
So we're all born with the same amount of,
Everyone, every
and
single
then
one.
it's how we experience life that changes, or how we live our life, experience of life that changes the levels of understanding it. Does that make sense?
Exactly, exactly. And whether we keep it open or shut it down. Exactly.
Hmm. So what would be maybe what could someone do? Well, obviously less alcohol. That's one thing. That's one thing I heard. What could people do to increase their intuition or intuitive side of them?
The biggest thing is meditation or quieting their mind is the biggest thing. So if we are using words like the, is, car, those are words. And they've got letters in there like I, S, and so on. If intuition was words, meditation is the letters. So meditation is the framework behind it, intuition. It's like, think about it. Even like people get intuitive nudges all the time. I've met so many people who are about to get married and they when they get quiet, they're like, I don't know if this person is for me. The quiet is what opens up the intuition.
Okay.
So I call it meditation, but for you, it might be getting on the bike until the mind quiets. For somebody else, it might be going for a run until their mind quiets. But it's not, you can't distract yourself to get intuition. You have to be willing to close like, quiet your mind, quiet mind, and then just say, I want help. And then intuition will kick in. So everyone's got it. Everyone's got it.
I find for myself, I like to go down because I live close to the beach. I like to go down to the beach and I like to just, I don't wear earphones. I just walk. I don't
Nice.
run. I just do a walk there and
Nice.
back. It's nice for exercise, but it's not really exercise. It's just a nice walk.
Right.
But I find for me, I come back stronger all the time. It just clears my head and I can just feel and see and know. And yeah, I need that on a regular basis. So that's probably my way of meditation,
100%.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be the way I do it. That's your way. And everybody has their way, but you want to make sure it's not a distracting. Like, I'm going to do some cocaine because it's like, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But drugs are a great way, mushrooms, to like pop you out to get nudges, but you don't want to rely on anything other than the beach. The beach is cool. Running is
Yeah.
cool. but you want to find healthy tools so that you can actually start to listen to the inner knowing. Yeah.
100%. That's really interesting. And do you do these? So I guess you do meditation in your group sessions?
I do. I mean, it's not necessarily like, chanting. It's like just learn to quiet the mind. And the more you practice it, the easier it gets.
Hmm. And what about, okay, let's talk about relationships. So we did a little bit of intuition, but relationships, I recall in your bio, it had said that you work within helping heal relationships or make them stronger. So can you give us, let's talk about that and can you give us some healing, like some tips for healing relationships, whether
Sure.
that be parent to parent, like parent child, sibling, couples. Give us some tips for that. Because I think a lot of us, and well, I remember you from from our event that we had. Well, it's been a year. Can you believe it was?
Yes. God, so crazy.
How did that go by so fast?
Yeah.
By the way, we've got another thing coming up, but
Amazing.
which I'll be announcing soon. But we had, Carrie on there, and
Right.
she was talking about her mother, and you did a lot of healing on stage with that mother-daughter relationship. And a lot of our lives, majority, um, a lot of issues we have is because we have these unhealed relationships. So tell us about that.
So the theory in the work I do, because the work I do is spiritual, straight up. And the theory in the work I do is that we all have a poor relationship with ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
we think we've got a great relationship, but probably somewhere in us, there might be some sort of like, I'll only like myself if I'm a size 2. I'll only like myself if I have a partner. I'll only like myself if I make $1 million. So we have our relationships with ourselves. And then every relationship outside of ourselves. So imagine this person is your kid, your husband, your coworker, your boss. Every relationship outside of us that triggers us is actually about healing something in ourselves. That's the theory of the work I do. Got it? So if you're always mad at your partner, it's like because he doesn't do enough, it's because somewhere in you have this idea that you're not doing enough. That's the theory of the work I do. The hard part is that people don't want to look in here. It's easy to look outside. It's easy to say, you're doing this to me, you're doing this to me, you're doing this to me. But we have to go inwards to say, where in ourselves do we have that same wound inside of ourselves? So that's the work I do. Yeah.
So what are some tips for people?
Sure. So,
Because it's really
oh, I know.
hard to, well, I mean, as we heal and we get
Yeah.
more mature, it's easier to look at ourselves and say, I'm part of the problem.
Right. Right.
I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we, what are some tips yeah, for these
Right.
healing? Because
So
it's a health with it's a healing, it's forgiving yourself almost and
it's
being
to-
okay not to be perfect.
it totally is. It's you. So a couple of tips, like no matter how long you've been doing this, number one is to spend some time journaling. Get
Mhm.
really comfortable with the thoughts you have.
Okay.
Okay. And then the step two is like, where in your childhood or your younger years did you have those same thoughts? And then the step three is to create a relationship. Because I'm trying to give you I'm going to give you the helicopter approach. So it's going to take you years to do this. Step
Mhm.
three is to create a relationship with the spiritual side of you. What I call the I am part of you, where you're whole, where
Mhm.
you're complete, where nothing is lacking. Step four is to dive into forgiveness work. Forgiveness is not forgiving your dad. Forgiveness is not forgiving your jerk boyfriend. Forgiving the part of you that did not think she was whole. And in the forgiveness of that is where you forgive the father, the dad, and so on. So let me just make it more concrete. Let's just say you always date people where you think that person makes you feel like you're not enough. This is a very common thing. Whenever I'm
Okay.
with this person, they don't make me feel like I'm enough. I'm not enough of I'm not a good lover. I'm not a good cook. I'm not a good wife, whatever. That means somewhere in your childhood, you were taught you're not enough. Okay, bingo. Dad told me this, mom told me that. Great. Step three is to connect to the divine I am. When you meditate and get quiet, you know that somewhere inside of yourself, you're a divine perfection. You are whole. Wayne Dyer used to say that, my mom and your mom, when they went down to the ocean, and Shelly's mom, the ocean represents God, Spirit, the Creator. And so Shelly's mom went down to the ocean with a pail and said, put it into the water, pulled out a bucket and said, this bucket is Shelly. So Shelly is a lot of stuff, but within her core is divine perfection of the Creator. So step one is to identify what your partner drives you crazy. Step two is to see where in your childhood you have that same wound. Step 3 is to identify with the creator, where I am whole. I'm not good enough. I'm not, I am the divine. Step 4 is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not getting mad at your mother or your lover or whatever. Forgiveness is forgiving the thought. Forgiveness is giving a thought to spirit and say, I'm done with this thought. Forgiveness is forgiving a thought. The other way I describe it, I was teaching a workshop in Worcester a few weeks ago, and there was a little baby there that was 3 weeks old. There was a woman who had some forgiveness to do around the idea that she was not enough. She wasn't enough mother. How I described it was with my hand. So we see that three worker as whole. So he's beautiful. He's incredibly intelligent. He's amazing. He's wonderful. And now this woman who's got some forgiveness work to do, she lost her thumb. She forgot she was enough. She thought she wasn't beautiful. So forgiveness is, I'm going to remember I am beautiful. I'm going to remember I am enough. And the more you do forgiveness work with that thought, you get closer to your creator, which is step 3. Then you heal the relationship with your partner or your father, whatever. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It's extremely detailed and it's extremely deep and detailed. But I know you're just doing a little version of it. But no, it's a lot. And then, but once you get there,
game changer. It's a game changer.
Complete game changer.
Yeah, complete game changer because your life changes. And that takes, I described it like a helicopter approach. It could take you years, but it really, I think the whole idea is for people to understand that there is hope. They don't have to stay mad at their husband forever. You don't need to, you can leave that husband and find another one and have the same conversations, right? And that's what they say. And it's not about not leaving, but it's about identifying the wounds in you that were a co-creation to that relationship.
100%.
So.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, okay, so then with your groups, so you work, okay. So someone comes to you and you start working on these, but in the group therapies.
Yeah.
Could it be one session or could it be 50? Like it could be their whole life or it could be just like, oh, good.
Most people on average, because like you said a minute ago, this is very deep. On average, they stick around with me for about 6 months on average. Mm-hmm. I have other clients who've stuck with me for years because they find that the more they get out of it, the more they heal, the more happier they are, the better sex they have, the more joy they have. So they want to keep getting that. And so, the average person makes huge shifts in 3 to 6 months, huge, like life-changing.
Well, I even know with the lady that you worked with at our Pursue 365 convention, even that session with her, which everyone wanted more. You were on stage and everyone's like, we want more. This is so incredible. I have shivers right now. It was that good. I know even with her, it changed her life. Like it actually, that half an hour changed her life. And I mean, you were supposed to be there for 10 or 15 minutes, but you were up there because we're like, Dr. Divi, more. You were like it was like a concert. We just loved you so much.
Thank you.
But no, I could see like how, and you're so good at it. Like you're just you can feel when you're doing what you're doing, whether it be on the video, on Instagram talking, because your Instagram messages are incredible, but then also on stage, I was like, oh, so good.
Thank you. And so some people come and they do a one-off and I remember a client who came into my office. This is when I used to do a lot of one-to-one, came in because he'd heard about me, waited like 4 or 5 months to see me, came in, he was he was a functioning alcoholic, drug addict, cocaine addict, West Van, wealthy guy, functioning. One session, stopped. It's been 4 years since. He calls me every year. He says, I love you. Thank you for changing my life. Done.
Wow.
One session. And so sometimes that does happen, and then in live events, a lot of times that what happened with Carrie does happen. But I'm used to that.
Do you think the energy of the room helps that?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Like all that goodness and positivity and just again, I've got shivers again. When I get these shivers, it's good. But it's like, I wonder, you think it makes a difference when it's like
huge.
That's probably why you do a lot of your group sessions.
Exactly. So like my je ne sais quoi is definitely in person. Like I teach online because I have clients around the world, but where my real forte is in person. But so if they're with me for 2 or 3 hours, it normally can get their energy higher. Like in that event that you put on, there's a lot of love in the room. So by the time I got up there, the love was already percolating. So it was easy by the time I got up there. So
it was a lot so good energy.
Oh yeah, that makes a massive difference. So,
huge difference. Like they could have, even starting with the sound bath. I love
totally.
That.
Yeah.
Like, so okay, let's make this positive. Yeah, that's so good. Okay. And We tend to take ourselves, especially in this day and age, with what's happening in the world today, which people are a little nervous. Going through our COVID, being middle age, a lot of seriousness going on. We're raising teenagers, or some people adults, or having babies older,
Totally.
taking a lot of life seriously, which we know we can't always be taking ourselves so seriously. How can we laugh at ourselves, or just like, how do we? Because I think laughing at ourselves is like, oh, I totally messed up, but not like, oh, I messed up, I want to go jump off a cliff, but like,
Right.
oh my gosh, I messed up. How did I do that? Like, how do we do that?
So there's a technique I teach people where, and everybody can do this. So I won't go into too much detail, but it like Eckhart Tolle talks about it a lot. The book Untethered Soul talks about it, where you can step out and you can observe yourself. And
Hmm.
like if I can step out and I can see that I'm sitting here in a chair, I've got white jeans on and a black sweater and a pink shirt. If I can see, like part of my mind can go here, that tells you I'm not this body, I'm not this hairdo, I'm not, I'm not any of it. Like actually, when we got on, you'll laugh at this, Shelly. I'm like, God, she looks so beautiful. She put lipstick on. I'm like, you didn't put lipstick on. I was washing my mind because I don't wear lipstick. And I was like, then I started laughing at myself because I went here and saw myself having that thought. And that's actually funny that you're comparing yourself with Shelly. She looks gorgeous in lipstick. I don't like lipstick on myself. And you can laugh at that thought.
Lipstick on?
Pardon?
Yeah, you look like you have
Oh, that's
lipstick.
hilarious. I don't. But, and I'm laughing because I had that thought as we started. But then when I stood out here and looked at myself, and I thought, that's a funny thought that you're comparing yourself. And the key is to step out here and look at yourself and go, that's funny. You think that. Like, it's hilarious. And the
Yeah,
more you can step outside of yourself and look at yourself, like, I know as parents, we take ourselves so seriously. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, Jesus, the kid's supposed to mess up. The kid's supposed to fall down. You're supposed to screw up your kid. It's no big deal. Laugh at yourself more. Laugh at the seriousness. Like, I think of what you talked about, the seriousness of the world, COVID and all that stuff. Our parents, like I'm sure your parents were on the same time. My mother had to deal with this invention called a VCR. She'd be like, I can't believe they have this machine now. We don't have to go to the movies anymore. And she took it so seriously. Like, they got through it. Remember before that, it was like, oh my God, the Beatles are on TV. They got through it. We'll get through this. We take ourselves so seriously. Oh my God, AI's out. It's just another thing. We'll get through it.
if it's used the right way, it's not terrible.
100%. None of these things are wrong. So laugh at
No.
how serious we think everything is. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like relax, everyone. It's not,
Totally.
you can't you have to AI, you have to use it in order.
Totally.
You need humans to use it.
Totally. Totally. And laugh. Laugh at the seriousness with which you take life. That's what I would say.
So you what you do is you step out of the body, you look down, you see what's happening, and you go, "Pff."
Yeah. I sometimes do this exercise in workshops where I have people look at themselves. Then I take the part of themselves that look at themselves and take that part of them and take that to Saturn. And then they laugh at themselves. Like, I can't believe I have that thought. Like, I can't believe I'm worried. Because the further away you get from yourself, the more smaller you seem. And those thoughts seem smaller. And God, I take it so seriously. None of it's serious. So,
Yeah, none of it's serious. Everything's, I know. Yeah. But as we get older, more mature, and like you said, the more you heal, the easier it is to get there.
totally.
Like the more wound, I find the more wound up people are, and they just take everything so seriously. It's actually, I find it sad because it's like it's not necessary, but they've got to learn that skill.
Exactly. They have to do their own healing. Exactly. I agree.
And they can't do it unless they put the work in. I was just talking about this in a previous conversation today. I was with Allison. I think you know Allison Jones.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
idea. You've
Yeah.
got to do the work. You have to acknowledge that there's the issue, and then you've got to do the work. And then you can't be afraid to ask for help.
Exactly. Super simple. Yeah.
It is actually super set. You just got such a great energy about you. I just love it so much. Okay, so you're very spiritual. A lot of your work is done in a spiritual way. There's a connection with a higher power. And obviously it makes people heal quicker, whatever the spirituality is, whatever they're going to go with. So,
Yeah.
how do people become more spiritual? I mean, I was raised, in a, weirdly enough, a Christian Science home, of which I
Yeah.
don't follow that now. And then I've obviously, seen other religions and whatnot, or spirituality. Now I call myself spiritual now. I don't know how I became this way, but I am. But how do people become more spiritual or acknowledge that they need spirituality in their lives?
I always tell people the mind cannot heal the mind. I don't know about yourself, but I spent years trying to, work through my thoughts, and that you got to do it. You got to work through your thoughts. You got to work, but eventually, no one's going to change the fact that mom in my life, my mom's amazing, my dad's amazing, but they didn't have the ability to love me the way I needed to be loved. That can't be healed.
No.
Got it? It's like a story. It's what happened in my experience. But the only part that can heal it is spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that there's still unconditional love out there, even if it's not from them. It's from the ocean, it's from the mountains, like Jesus. They love you. So it's understanding that you having a set in your spirituality might be looking at the ocean and going, wow, that's that spirituality, that awe of wonder, something much bigger.
Oh,
That's how you start. And because I'm sure not all your listeners, but a lot of people live in Vancouver who are in your book, not everybody. We live in one of those, to me, one of the most gorgeous places in the world. So we've got mountains, we've got ocean, we've got rainforest. I mean, are we ever lucky? So look
so
out the window.
stepping into nature is a good thing.
Exactly. Exactly. The bigger vastness of it all. Yeah,
Yeah, watching a sunset,
exactly. And being present
being
with your
present.
breath, that there's something much bigger happening. Yeah.
And that might not, I mean, it's going to have to be a ritual, like something that you do continuously.
And it could even be something small, like, and I'm sure some of your listeners have had this experience where they're in a really bad mood and they scroll social media and then something comes up and they're like, oh, I feel so much better. That's spirit. In my world, that's spirit. Spirit intervened and said, hey, this person's struggling. Let me send them Shelly's post. Right? And that's spirit saying, hey, we know you need help. Look at this post. It'll make you feel better.
Yeah, I love your posts.
Oh, thank
I
you.
share them on Pursuit quite a bit.
Thank you.
But it's like let's get the word out there. Let's share, what you're doing, and and hopefully people, decide that if they are unhappy, that they are not afraid to reach out and
Yeah.
talk to you. And you know, what I love about you is that you are also, you're a medical doctor, but you're also the spiritual side as well. Because sometimes, a lot of the times, they're completely separated.
Right.
So
Yeah.
with you, it's the
Well,
balance.
yeah, I think, I like when clients come to see me say, let's just make this up with cancer. And I've worked with many clients like that. Last thing I say, I'm like, go do your chemo, do your radiation, do whatever you have to do there.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like I would never tell somebody not to, I can help you get to what the emotional core is. That's what I'm really good at doing. But because we have such a deep seated like thinking of like needing a physical, go do that and do this at the same time. But that's just who I am. I mean, that's a bit of, my belief system. So yeah.
Yeah, and have you found that people that say they are going through cancer and they're getting the chemo and the
Right.
radiation, that when they've got the spiritual side of it, that I mean, I'm obviously it's not 100%, but
Right.
obviously it's
Right.
cancer,
100%.
for God's sakes,
Yeah.
but that it helps in the healing process.
There've actually been a lot of studies out there, and I'm sorry I can't quote them, but I know there's been a lot of studies that when people have an emotional and spiritual sense to them, they actually can they move through the ups and downs of cancer with greater ease. You know what I mean? When they go through chemo and they feel like crap. Apparently, there's been studies out there that show that they don't feel as crappy. Instead of like a 10 out of 10 for crap, they're 3 out of 10. But that's the journey, right? You don't like the journey is how can I just feel a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. So
And I imagine, let's just say, the outcome isn't, remission forever, because it's not always going to be. I would imagine, and God, knock on wood, whatever.
yeah.
I would imagine even going through spiritually in a more, I mean, it sounds so terrible, but spiritually being connected would help in the whole process.
Yeah, I have found it to be that way for my clients because then they know that there's something much, much bigger,
Hmm.
which I think everybody wants to know, especially as you get closer to death. You want to know there's something more.
Absolutely.
So there has to
There
be.
has to be something more.
Totally.
There
Yeah,
has to
there
be.
has to be.
There
Because
has to
I
be.
always say I'm not just a human on planet Earth circulating the sun. That's not how it's set up. There is something much bigger. My creator did not just stick me here and say, see you later. There is something bigger. At least
There is something.
exactly.
So death does not make you're not afraid.
I believe in reincarnation. I mean, as an intuitive, I jokingly say I talk to dead people, like I do mediumship as well. So I've never run into I've never had a fear of death, and it doesn't scare me because I know that person's energy is still here. Mm-hmm. People always say, "Oh, I wish I had flown to Ontario and seen my mother before she died." Well, talk to her right now. She's still here. I had a client in this morning who I've worked for years. Her husband died 4 years ago. And when she comes in, I can feel his energy. She can too. Right? She feels it more when I'm around because I can help, like just the work I do, I can bring him in stronger. But yeah, they're still here. You don't have to die to feel them. They're right here.
So yeah, someone told me, someone who's an intuitive like you, said that there's a man that follows me around, a middle-aged man, and I know who it is.
Yeah.
And there's also a dog that and she said to me, it looks like a little black bear. Well, when I was a little girl, I had a dog, and his name was BB for black bear.
I have goosebumps everywhere when you said that. So
and he looked like a little bear, little cub. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. That is crazy.
I was like, and it follows me around, this dog and this man, and he's an important person in my life. And it's like, oh, I have shivers again. It's just like, wow, it's exciting.
So if you don't believe in spirituality, there is something there.
So there is, definitely. So what do you have going on that you would like to share?
Sure. I always have stuff going on.
You always have something going on. But is there anything like, do you have a book coming out? Do you have, I mean, you're going to be in our poet book, but that's different. That's the co-author book. But do you have something exciting you'd like to share with everyone other than you always have something exciting happening?
When is this coming out again?
Well, our book isn't going to come out until September 23rd.
Okay. Got it. So I have events going on. I do have another book coming out that I'm working on right now. I don't know what it's called, but it's about the balance of feminine. I know that's what it's about, and I'm writing it right now, but I don't have a title for it yet. So that's coming out. I always have workshops going on. So I've got a workshop at the end of March on relationships. I have an ongoing online classes as well. So you can always just take a look at my website. There's always fun stuff going on. So
wonderful. Well, it was so nice getting to know you just a bit better.
Sure.
And love seeing your face and getting your good energy. And I'm very lucky to have you in our community. And thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to chat with me today.
Thank you for doing it too. Appreciate you and appreciate the community too.
Likewise. Thank you so much. All right, my friend, sign off today. Dr. Divi's information will be down below, and connect with her. And you can have a 30-minute session and get some healing done. Thank you, love. Have a good day.